Hi, I'm Mark Richards. I'm the compost master here in the Aurora Climate Garden, and there's no and. It's just that's all. That's what I'm doing here. I started it. I didn't really start it. It started itself. I was just there. I was working in other community gardens with compost. And it turns out that nobody really knew how to do composting very well. But I was starting to learn it. And then another group in the Aurora, who were using the Aurora parking lot, needed somebody to take care of the compost. So I said, so they called me and I checked it out. And there was a lot of compost, and so I became a compost guy. And the Aurora House is a group that, they have many NGOs in there, they have many community events. They're trying to promote community integration in the area. And they have this big space, and it was like 60 degrees throughout the summer. You can't go there. And I was there with the compost, and I had also just recently taken a permaculture course, and I wanted to see how this permaculture thing worked. And I live on the second floor, I don't have land. At the beginning we were thinking, we should it was a small group of volunteers, we should make a organization, and then we can apply for grant money, and then we can do, and then none of us really wanted to do that. We just wanted to be in the garden and do some gardening. So what we did was we just realized that what if this problem that we have, that we don't have money, becomes a positive? What if we turn it on its head and say, what can people do without money? What can people do who just volunteer their time with just local waste? And since I was a composter, I could see that there was enormous amounts of waste material everywhere. Not just green kitchen waste, but garden waste, grass clippings and leaf bags. And we started collecting wherever we saw them, bring them into the garden. That's all carbon-based material. And then we started getting cardboard, and we started to get these old wooden pallets. People look at our garden and they say, why don't you just paint that or put some of that, that organic linseed oil on it and it will stay for a while. And we were like, we don't have any dirt here. To grow dirt, you need mushrooms. So if we paint this, then the mushrooms can't eat it and turn it into dirt. So we're going to take trash, wooden pallets, and put them in the ground so the mushrooms will eat them faster. Because all we have is people, and we can always go get more pallets. We can always get more trash and put it into the ground. Our job is not to keep something static, but to make something dynamic. And that was a completely different idea. That you have to have you can't be a farmer, you can't be a gardener, you can't be a landscape architect when you work with nature. Because those things are all about stopping nature and making it do something that it doesn't naturally do. But if you let nature work and give it all of the things it needs, then it starts to give you lots of things. I don't mean to say that these community gardens and these green interventions aren't something. I just mean to say we don't have time to not think about quality. Hour is late. Very often in the community gardens I was in, sometimes it felt like I paid my dues We don't want those people here who didn't pay their dues. You know, we don't want, this is our community. It was sort of it felt closed. Creating a community garden is not a facade. It's a very good first effort, a very, very wonderful way to say we really need to do something. But there are 50 of them now or more around, and very many people, it's very popular here. Very many people are looking into it, and they realize in the last 2 summers the climate is changing drastically, and maybe these community gardens are actually long-term costs and aren't doing very much for the climate or the environment. It's very easy for so we had a group of people here who are local government people, and they referred to community gardens as hobby gardens. So they don't really take it seriously as a possible way to cool the city or green the city in a way, or sequester carbon. This is a typical situation in Hungary for community gardens, where they give you a piece of land that used to be a building. The municipality says, we own this property and we would like you to use it. And they give you a 3, 4, 5-year contract, an election cycle contract. And they say, just make it green and do community things. But you can see that with a 5-year contract or a 4-year contract, there's no real future here. This is a temporary situation. For me, that means that it isn't a serious investment. This whole thing disappears if the local government needs money and has to sell it. There's no real commitment to the environment, to the climate in the city. And unfortunately, at this point, I think the question is bigger than communities. So it needs to be connected between the local government and the city. And they have to plan somehow where the green spaces will be forever. They found out recently that cities, in fact, are cleaner now, less chemicals than the countryside. So cities have become a haven for biodiversity. There's more species of wild bees and small, tiny bees that nobody really knows about that can only survive in cities because the farmers have sprayed so much in the country. Budapest is pretty green. There are many trees in Budapest, but those trees are on the outer edges of the town. They don't shade the 8th district in the downtown area. So we have this heat dome. But on paper, it looks great for the city because they have so many trees and they plant and plant. But this is what they make. And a tree is nothing without soil, right? So the effect that this kind of intervention can make, it has to be measured, right? How much can a tree that lives in a hole like this actually cool this whole street? Is this going to be able to stand the climate change? That's my question. And I'm wondering if we're spending all this EU investment money on this kind of intervention, is this going to be a cost in the future? For us in the garden, it's really important that we talk about nature-based systems. So, you know, nature, it already works. We know it works. You know, we can see, like, if you build a city, you've made a giant wound in nature. Nature wants to grow back. It wants to help us fix this. It's trying, right? But those plants are going to be chopped up and taken away, and it doesn't matter that they're actually helping, that they're collecting rainwater, that they're feeding bees. So it's a really strange disconnect between what we should be doing and what we are doing. Most people don't see the difference. They don't see the difference between climate and garden. Climate and environment, and they don't see the difference between like a permanent and a temporary solution. If you think that the plant will fix everything without soil, if you think that this kind of soil activator that you buy will fix everything without plants and without mulch cover, if you don't imitate the entire system, if you don't do it the way that it naturally has evolved to be done, then you're throwing money out the window. That compost is what built this forest. So that reconnecting of the waste into the ground locally where it is created is the thing that started this whole project. It's the energy, the dynamo in this machine. We're making compost, which is a soil conditioner or a soil amendment. This goes in between the soil particles. Soil is sand or clay. Sand and clay do not soak up water. They hold water in between in the spaces, but they don't soak it up. This is a sponge that goes in between the clay and the sand particles and holds water. For one square meter of soil, if you have 1% more carbon in your soil, the rain that falls on it, 6 liters will be able to stay there in that 1 square meter. If you increase it to 2%, 12 liters. That's amazing per square meter. 3%, 18, and it goes all the way up to 24%. What we do is we work on education. So for us, the most important thing here is that people see it, because very many people do not believe it. It's possible to make self-sustaining infrastructure in the city. It doesn't have to be ugly like this, like random or whatever. If you can just remember that the tree doesn't work without soil, the soil doesn't work without water, the water doesn't work without, without putting it in place or whatever, and then the whole thing feeds itself. If people can remember that, then everywhere around the city you can make these things that don't cost money after 5 years. We can't say that we're doing enormous things for the environment or the climate, because they're both very big things. But our little humble parking lot is a model for what can be done on a bigger scale, and we have knowledge to share. We know what grows in a parking lot in the 8th district. We can show you all the plants that have come here. We documented all the bugs and birds and bees and worms and mushrooms. So we know a million tricks, right? And those are inside of us and waiting here if anybody wants to take advantage of that.